Three Irishmen and two Americans walk into a podcasting room and you end up with episode 2 of the Retro Gaming Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Malloy, and joining me as always, Mr. Ronin Fox.
What's happening, Shawnee? Rushed
What's
in
up,
the
man?
door there.
What's up? What
Rushed
happened?
in the door.
Yeah, rushed in the door, molding the minds of kids on a day job, and now we end up talking with you boys. Nice, that's cool. And the pride of the Grand Canyon State, Mr. Ken Kingsford.
Yo, yo.
Retro Gamer Ireland himself, Nisha O'Hare.
Top of the morning.
Top of the morning, Nisha, or evening. We're the late evening next to you guys. And joining us for a very special episode, Roger Young from All Cast Irish Gamers.
Hi, guys. Thanks very much for having me
Roger. Thanks for coming on, man. Short notice. Like, we're glad to have you as another guest. Yeah.
Cool. Glad to be here.
Yeah, cheers, man. Get rid of the easy talk quick. I want to dive right into it of what we're playing. Every week we go around the room, discuss what retro games we've been playing this week. Roger, you're a special guest. I want you to go first, man.
Oh man, I was hoping you wouldn't ask me because I'm not actually playing a specific retro game right now. But what I am playing is a couple of games that are kind of based around the mechanics of retro games. I don't know if any of you ever played Commandos.
Yes.
Back on the PC.
Yeah. PC game.
I don't know, is that like early 2000s, late 90s?
Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
Real-time strategy. Yeah.
Real-time strategy. You get squads.
Roger, you're talking to the wrong guys. Like, I don't know if any of you guys have played it. We're all like, yeah, dude, come on.
It's actually an awesome game.
It's a really good game, but there's a game out at the moment called Shadow Tactics Blades of the Shogun. And it's basically that whole game reskinned in feudal Japan.
Cool.
And I love everything about it because it just reminds me so much of the Commandos games. And I just like the way I think they've kind of streamlined the game as well, made it a lot easier with hotkeys and able to, move different characters around at the same time and, coordinate it a bit easier.
Yeah.
Sorry, now I don't have a legit retro game to talk about.
That's good enough.
I should have done my homework.
So is it the same style? Is it the same style as Commandos? Is it like you're using different classes and each class has a different ability? Is that the way it works?
Yeah, so you sort of slowly introduce to the different characters. You start off as a ninja and you're trying to infiltrate into this warlord's castle, and then it's under siege and this heavy guy shows up, and of course he's able to pick two bodies up, but he's a lot noisier. And then you meet this little girl who's really quiet and she can lay down traps and shoot blow darts, and then you meet a monk who's actually a sniper. There are guns in this, so it's kind of like
plot twist.
yeah. No, it's not like futuristic. It's like that turn. I don't know. I wish my history was
like
better.
A black powder rifle. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. It's like what's that? 1700s, 1800s sort of time period. So I highly recommend it. What's
it on? What system?
I have it on Steam.
It's on PS4 and Xbox too. There's a free demo you can run through. I think like the first. It lets you play the first mission, then lets you play like a mission later in the game.
Okay, I didn't know it was on console, but
yeah,
cool, man.
Good. It runs pretty well on PS4 actually. Usually strategy games suck on a controller, but that one's all right.
Yeah,
that's cool, man. Yeah, that's good to hear. So so there you go. Who are we throwing it to now? Ken, you've been talking. I want you to throw it to you. Retro game we're playing this week.
I actually
it's for like easy transitions. I'm like Ken knows what we're talking about. We'll just transition into him.
I've got a couple of emulators that are pretty interesting. I picked up some Virtual Boy stuff, and so I always wanted when I was a kid to play Wario Land or Wario World. I can't remember what it's called, but on the Virtual Boy, and to be able to play that without having to put that painful trash headset on is just really been cool. And some of the mechanics of it are really neat. You can see where they would have used the 3D and stuff, where he jumps between the four in the background. But it's just a really competent Wario game, actually. That's really been enjoying it. It's kind of funny, though, because it's like playing like a Game Boy game, where it's like asparagus color, except it's red and black. The Virtual Boy, everything was red and black monotone. But controls really well. It's been really fun. And me and Ronan were talking before the show. I think I want to try and figure out a way to record some of it on my HD PVR, maybe some of those other games, because people don't get to play those games. That's kind of what enticed me. Unless you have an emulator or you had a Virtual Boy, which means there's like 5 people that had that, I think. So
one of them right here. We had one.
Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been really enjoying that. Like a super competent Mario game. The boss battles are rough, man. Like that very unforgiving, don't care about your feelings, old school type of boss battles.
Just kicks you in the balls until you walk away. You're like, no, don't worry. I'm just going to make sure you don't have kids for the rest of your life.
The first one's a steep spike, because you're like, you play and you're like running through. I'm like, oh yeah, like Mario games is cool. I can get with this. And I get to the boss and he just wallops me. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah,
what happened here?
Yeah. Nisha, you're the retro collector. Do you have a Virtual Boy in your collection?
I don't. I have a game though. For some reason, I have Mario Tennis.
He's like, I don't know, man. They just randomly showed up at my house one time.
I saw. I was just browsing through eBay and saw Mario Tennis and saw the artwork looked pretty cool.
Yeah,
and just decided to buy it, even though I don't have, and it's in Japanese as well.
It's like double. You're like, dude, I don't know, man. This thing's like, it's Japanese. I can't play it anywhere. No, what's funny is like you bring up the Mario Golf is the story I always tell when someone brings up a Virtual Boy on a show or like on an interview is I tell it's like I have a stepbrother. His name's Nick, and we actually like decided for joint birthdays are 1 month apart that we wanted a Virtual Boy when it came out. So we're like, okay, we'll play it, and so. I get to go on tennis. He gets to go on tennis. I get to go on tennis. And he looks at it and he steps back. And he's like, man, I don't feel well. And he steps back and he throws up all over the Virtual Boy. And so we literally, yeah. So he spews into the headset. And then he goes to my dad, who's like a non-gamer guy, and he doesn't understand like this culture. And he just shows it to him. He's like, we need to return this to Toys R Us. And he's like, I don't think we could take that back, man. And he had to go buy, and he worked him every weekend to rebuy a second one to replace the first Virtual Boy. It was pretty awesome. Like, looking back at it, we're like, oh, remember that one time you threw up in the Virtual Boy? You're like, yeah, dude, I have no idea how that even happens.
Oh, it's sweet, man. I'm dying to play one of them. I've never played one. I've never even seen one in front of me.
It's like it has like a three leg kickstand, and then you sit it on the top, and it's like we had it on the edge of the desk, so you had to lean all the way forward to actually put it on your face. But there's no straps or anything like a modern day VR set, so you literally had to make sure your face was just in it the entire time.
You know why there's a big headache or something?
It's huge headache. Yeah, it's like there's something about like how the 3D effects happen in either eye, and so your eyes are constantly twitching back and forth.
Jesus.
And so I'm sure I have like brain cancer or something now, but you know, totally worth it.
The reason it doesn't have straps is because they couldn't let people leave it on their head because it would give people really bad migraines and stuff. So they figured they'd put it on a stand, and it actually has a feature on the Virtual Boy where it auto pauses. So as a parent, you could leave the auto pause on, and it forced your kids after about 20 minutes to stop playing before they got an insane migraine. It's totally an 80s product, because if you tried to do that now, people would line up around the block to sue you out of business.
Now it's like the entire thing. It's like when you put on like a Vive or a PSVR now, it's like, if you're a small child, don't wear this. And if you're an adult, only wear this for 60 minutes at a time. And I'm like, fuck that, dude, let's go. And I just like put it on my head and I'm like, yeah, don't tell me how I leave my life. I want to be in the Valkyrie pilot for 4 hours. Shut up. So it's cool, man. I'm going to move to the other Irishman on the show, or one of the other Irishmen on the show. Nisha, what are you playing retro style right now?
I was playing some Punch-Out last week. Me and
the original on NES?
On the NES Classic.
Yes, that's my favorite NES game of all time.
And I'm shit at it.
Yeah.
Oh, crap. I couldn't get past the second guy. Literally couldn't do it. And then my older brother Aiden was over here, and he was like, I'll fucking show you how to do it. And he was just cleaning up. He was cleaning up, man. Yeah, it's really, really good game. I don't play it an awful lot. I was only playing it because Aiden was here and we used to play when we were kids. But it was really, really cool. But another game that I'm playing at the moment, and it's not retro, but it kind of looks retro, is Sonic Mania. I finally got it on the Nintendo Switch.
Oh yeah, we discussed it last week. What are your impressions now?
I thought it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I completed it with Sonic and Tails. You can choose, like to do it as Knuckles or just Tails or whatever. And it's actually the first time I've ever completed a Sonic side-scroller game. Right. So
that's what I'm hearing is like a lot of people who are like old Sonic like diehards, like they never finished the original games because again they're tough as nails or they have problems with the controls or anything. And this one is just they really took the aesthetic of old Sonic games, brought it forward to the year 2017, and actually was able to make it more accessible for players. You feel it that same way?
Yeah, definitely. Because I was able to complete it in 2 or 3 days. You know, fairly handy. You know what I mean? Whereas I've been playing the others for 20 years and still can't fucking complete it, you know what I mean?
Fucking Robotnik keeps throwing eggs at me and shit, and I don't know what's going on.
But I have to say, great game. I know it's only €20 as well, which is really cool. Like, but I just started there about an hour ago. I was playing a bit as Knuckles, and the kind of levels are kind of different and stuff, which is pretty cool. So it's almost like a couple of different games in one. Man. You know what I mean? But great game.
So I want to go back to Punch-Out really quick because that's calling back to my childhood. Is we had 2 games on their NES until I was probably 7 or 8, and so we always had Mario and Duck Hunt, the combo cart, and then we always had Punch Out in my house. And no matter what Nintendo console I get, I rebuy Punch Out to like have that wave of nostalgia and listen to the 8-bit music. And yeah, I can tell you, it's like the weird guy Claude is the first one, then it's Don Flamenco is the second one, and then it's the French guy for the third one, and then it's the handlebar mustache guy. And like, I know that series like so well. It doesn't make me good at it because I don't think I've ever like beaten past like the 5th guy, but there's something about that series that keeps me coming back. And when we talk about nostalgia over and over again, I wish I could find that soundtrack on just like online or just like a printed CD or something and rebuy it, because it's masterful. It's in my opinion.
And did they release like a couple of versions? Because the one on the NES Classic is Punch Out featuring Mr. Dream.
Yeah, the white Mike Tyson. Yeah, he's Mike Tyson, but he's a white guy. Like all
they lost the license to use Mike Tyson's name.
Yeah.
All right.
So if you can find like a cart, like a collector or something, like we had Mike Tyson's Punch Out, like growing up, like remember that cart, like 100%. And also what's funny is the same stepbrother, I ran into him a couple weeks ago and he said, hey, for some reason I had the NES and all the carts. I'm like, well, give me that shit, dude. Like, you don't deserve that. Like, you threw up in the Virtual Boy. You don't get that anymore. Like, that's mine. So anyway, yeah, cool. That's awesome, man. So it's like a little touch of a modern retro with some pure retro. Ronin, what are you playing?
So I hope I am not going to open up a can of worms with this game, but I think I will.
Battletoads. Get out.
I actually read today that they released a mod for Battletoads that you could do multiplayer on the emulator now, which is pretty cool. I just read that in a little tidbit there today. The game that I'm playing is a game that was released in 1998, and it was actually Valve's first ever product.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, go. I'm trying to remember
the original Half-Life.
Okay.
But I'm not just playing the original Half-Life. I'm playing a mod that was done by fans of that game. They redone the game in the Half-Life 2 engine, and it's just called Black Mesa. You can get it on Steam, and it is absolutely brilliant. When I first played that game, I think I was 10 years old. I was a PC gamer. Yeah. My dad had this real crappy PC in the living room. And we used to just get whatever game we could to work on this thing. And for some reason, Half-Life was one of those games that would work on any system. And it was a game that I remember finishing. I could have finished probably 20 times over the span of about a year when it was first released. And then it was released onto the orange box in 2001. I bought it again. I cleared it. And that series has just always been a part of kind of my game in life. So Black Mesa, it was released about 2 or 3 years ago. I'm not quite sure. But if you are a fan of that game, go back and play Black Mesa. It's gorgeous looking. All the characters are remodeled. You can actually see their lips moving, which is pretty cool. And some of the story is slightly changed to add in more of... There was side missions, kind of a side games that were released with Half-Life. One was Opposing Forces and one was Blue Shift. Where Opposing Forces was you were using one of the government agents that were sent in to basically wipe Black Mesa clean. So there's a lot more to do with that storyline, and you get to know the main character in Opposing Forces in this Black Mesa mod. So yeah, that's one game that I'm running through at the moment. I'm actually recording it for the YouTube channel. Cool. And I'm having an absolute blast. The second game that I put on the other night with my wife, we were just downstairs, and we just said we'd play some retro games, and I stuck on Aladdin for fun. And I just wanted to know whether this game was as good as I remember it being, and it actually is. It's a phenomenal game, and even
the Genesis version. Got to qualify.
The Genesis version, 100%.
The version's absolute trash.
Yeah. So when I first started playing like that, we always talk about retro games having this muscle memory that comes back to you, and straight away I just had that muscle memory of throwing the apples, using the sword, and there's some great mechanics in that game that just, you know, it's hard to believe that it's so old. I think it was 92 that game was released, and it's still amazing today. It's a game that I actually never cleared. I kept getting to that level where you're on the magic carpet trying to get away from the the lava, and I kept getting killed. So I'm gonna make it my business to complete that game.
That's cool, man. So this is actually like kind of like blasphemous, but I was never able to play the Genesis version of Aladdin. I had the Game Gear version, which is like the shittiest version like ever. It's just, I remember Ronin said like he doesn't remember like clearing the entire. I don't remember clearing the first level like ever. Like I can remember like throwing the apples. I can remember like getting to the Cave of Wonder, and there comes just a platforming section that like my 6-year-old brain like just couldn't wrap around, and it's just like platforms were moving. I'm like, no, that doesn't make sense. I can only move platforms left and right. Like they're not supposed to go up and down, and just something just malfunctioned in my brain, and it just like went away. I'm like, nope, I'm never going to be able to finish. Then I went back to Sonic 2, which is the worst type of like going back. Like, oh, don't worry, I'll play this easier game, Sonic 2 on Game Gear, and it just like kicks me in the teeth again. I'm like, I fucking hate Game Gear.
That was in mind when I was playing Aladdin, and I was looking through these list of games that were out back then, and I'd say 90% of them are movie tie-ins, and that's no one of a lie. Like we had 100%. Movie tie-in games to
some
beat
of my
the
retro collectibles are like I always kind of gravitate towards like the Disney or the Looney Tunes licensed stuff, because they don't do that anymore, and some of those are some of the best games that they made back then because they poured money into them, which they don't do anymore.
There was a collection brought out for PS4. Actually, I think it was the Disney collection. It had it's actually a pretty good one, and it was well reviewed. A lot of those games seem to transfer well over to the new systems. There's no.
I tend to lean more towards the 16-bit stuff than the 8-bit stuff, but yeah, those are good games. I actually have Tailspin on the TurboGrafx, which is the better version than the one they released in that collection. I wish they would have just quietly slid that version in there and pretended like that was it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think on my end, the games I've been like retro playing like this week, it's been like two games from like across the board. So with the pre-order of Uncharted: The Lost Legacy on PS4, you got the original Jak and Daxter from Naughty Dog to go play through. Nice. I wanted to dive into it, and it's just one of those like PS2 games that really, again, taps into like my childhood and like the sense of nostalgia. And this was the first time that Naughty Dog's putting out something that's not Crash Bandicoot, and you can spin a camera 360 degrees and see a world and get animated voices. And I'm just forgetting like major parts of the narrative. Like, for one thing, I forgot that Daxter is actually like a human being that was actually transformed into the Ottsel by falling in a vat of like dark matter. So totally forgot that even existed. The other thing I'm playing right now is I don't know if anyone would have to play it, but it's a James Bond Jr. on the NES.
I remember that. I can picture the box art, but I never played it. Yeah.
Yeah. Nisha, if you ever get a chance to look up the box art to James Bond Jr., you have to check it out because it looks like an old like Connery flick type of poster with like a like painted art, but it's like a kid and his tux is a little bit too big, so it's kind of like wearing your dad's suit, and like that's what it looks like. But the plot is like, oops, James Bond actually did get one of those women pregnant, and now he's going to be a spy like his dad.
Wasn't
and it's just
a cartoon.
Yeah.
That's ringing a bell. Like that's what first came to my head when you said it. There was there a cartoon? This,
yeah, total cartoon. And I never watched the cartoon, but I remember the game, and it's just I can remember like walking like behind waterfalls and jumping through, and it's actually playing with like foreground background, so it's not just a side scroller. Sometimes it was like a beat 'em up where it actually like there's like depth to field. And I had a friend that he had like an emulator on his computer. I went over there to help him edit some videos. And I just like did a search within the emulator for James Bond Jr. and that shit popped up. And I was like, "There's no way, man!" So again, I like Ronin. I'm going back to muscle memory. I'm like, let me see how far I can get without just like forgetting anything. And I got probably like 2 hours into a 6-hour game, and then I just couldn't do it anymore. And it's just nope. These games exist in a vacuum for a reason, and that's where that one's going to stay for me. So, man, yeah,
nice.
All around, I think, man, this was a good week for retro games for all of us.
Definitely.
Yeah, man. So real quick, Roger, you are the next topic on the show by yourself. So don't blow this one, man. But yeah,
no pressure.
I know, from All Cast Irish Gamers. I know you run a pretty rad YouTube channel. I really just want to know all about your stuff, and we're going to grill you as we go because the boys can tell you. I will come up with like 15 other questions as you're talking. So
cool.
Yeah, cool, man.
Far ahead. Yeah, so we're All Cast Irish Gamers. There's 3 of us. I joined the channel last, actually, with Mark and Mignon. John is his name, but we call him Mignon. Don't ask me why. It was his nickname. It's his nickname since he was a kid, and they still don't know why he's called Mignon. So he's just called Mignon. And we have all ranges of consoles and PCs. We record, we stream, we play pretty much anything we feel like, which to the detriment of our channel probably.
Yeah.
Like I said, I actually made a vlog saying our channel has ADHD because we sat down, we said one day, okay, we're going to do PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. That's a real popular game right now. Let's focus on that. Within 24 hours, we were back playing, like, Petzo was playing Sonic, I was playing Hearthstone. It's just, it was just like, whatever, just do what you want, guys. And I think that's part of the charm, if you will.
Yeah.
But lately we've kind of gained a bit of traction with charity live streams, getting in touch with the likes of GameStop, promoting sort of gaming events here in Ireland as well. And things are starting to grow. It's slow, but we're enjoying it. Like, all of us have jobs as well, so like you guys know what it's like.
Welcome to the club. It's like we have the day life and the night life, but our night life is just making video game content. It's really
exactly. And like families and stuff, the amount of times I've sat down to record and my dad has knocked on the door, and that's like another, and that's yourself, you kind of try and make do. We have fun with it though. We fall out every now and again and we disagree, but it's all part of the fun.
So is this something that you guys actually get together in a physical room to stream together, or is it like how we do it, where it's all corners of literally like the country or of us, like the freaking world, and we just like come together to record?
Well, we try to do as much together as we can, but I live sort of south of Dublin. Mignon and Mark live closer together. But generally, like, for example, tonight, Mignon is like on part 13 of his Final Fantasy 17 stream. Cool. He's been doing that, so we kind of help set it up because he hasn't got a PC, so he does it through his PS4.
Right.
I record my stuff, but we will get together. Like today, we met. We were invited over to GameStop. They're releasing some new fashion stuff, and we got an invite, lucky enough. And so we all met up. We wear these funny suits. If you go on the website or on the YouTube channel, you can see we have these things, Oppo suits. So I wear these suits that has like big white stars on it.
That's cool, man.
So it kind of, what it does do is kind of helps us stand out a little bit. People ask us who we are. Why the hell are we dressed so ridiculously? And it definitely has helped sort of boost our popularity a little bit, I think.
You just like drop a business card, like, here's a card, but also you can remember me by my outrageous outfit.
That's true. Yeah, actually, we have had cards made in the past because a couple of events we have gone to. Like, Petzo feels it really greasy, but I'm like, if you don't promote yourself, no one else will, kind of thing.
Yeah, 100%.
No, it's worked out well for us, and we met lovely people like Nisha and other people out there like yourselves who are trying to do what we're doing and having a bit of fun with it. So we'll definitely keep it going.
That's awesome. No, because we haven't like actually jumped into like anything like PUBG yet on any version of our show. What's the reaction with you guys about PUBG and how that's actually affecting like the gaming environment itself? Because that thing's taking off like a rocket, and if you're not on the PUBG train right now, you're kind of off of it. So how are you guys digging it?
Well, even like when I say that, we have produced content for PUBG, but kind of went away. It's because like everyone is doing it right now, and no one's going to jump on us. We've got like 1,400 subs and get 10, 20, maybe 50 views on a video. No one's going to watch our vids unless they're crazy ridiculous, and there's already people out there doing it full time. So it's kind of probably one of the reasons we actually didn't stick to PUBG is because we're better off doing stuff that we like doing, whether it be indie games, getting in touch. Like, we get offered indie games from like little developers every now and again because they see that's what we like to focus on. And it just allows us to kind of focus on stuff that no one else is looking at. And I think that's definitely part of the key.
It's almost like PUBG and like some of these other games when they really blow up, it's almost like it's such a red ocean, like everybody's out there fighting for the same scraps. I agree with you. Like, I think we've always kind of done that, even if it wasn't conscious. I think all of us have kind of steered more towards more interesting stuff. I think the only thing we really jumped in hardcore when it was popping was Bloodborne.
No. You guys jumped into Bloodborne, dude. I'm like, no way. I'm like, no, I'm not having any part of this.
Every show needs a dissenter. Sean was our dissenter.
I was. I'm like, you guys are nuts, man. This game. No.
That game actually made me kind of like not hate gaming, but like question how good I was at gaming. You know what I mean? Did you ever like feel like? It's just like, I'm playing this game, but am I really enjoying myself? I'm not. People tell me I should be enjoying myself. People tell me I should be, but am I though?
Roger,
am I really?
Yeah, man. For backstory on this one, like I played Bloodborne for like a long time, and I was like, no, and I kept getting myself like kicked in the teeth, and like Ronin and Kent were just like busting my chops, like, no, dude, just keep going, just keep playing it, it'll be fine. I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna give it another try. I'm gonna put it on my shelf and go back to it, and I'm like, no, dude, no, that game busted me in the ass like so many times. And then we invite
the Altano story as well, and we're like, if you keep playing it, you will.
You'll love it. I'm like, all right, don't worry, I got it. Yeah, don't worry, I got it.
Sean was ready to quit, and then Altano on Podcast Beyond did his whole story about how like it kicked his ass, and he powered through it, and he loved it, and so we kind of conspired unknowingly with Brian Altano to push poor Sean to run through it again, and he was fucking heated.
And then like Nisha comes on the show. We're like, Nisha, have you played Bloodborne? He's like, yeah, I fucking cleared it. I'm like, what? I'm like, what is going on? It's like, so literally like the only person in the world who like tried Bloodborne. And Ronin, like, you understand when it comes to content creation. You created like some of our best content when it comes to Bloodborne, man. And so you're right there with Roger.
Our most watched stuff. And I think because I went a different route. Instead of just doing a normal playthrough, I wanted to do something that would help people get off the ground, because it is a difficult game to get running. And the reason why I think I'm just, it's so ingrained in the way I play games is I've been playing since Demon Souls. And we talked in the last show that I actually put that game down, never touched it for a year, and then came back to it, fell in love with the whole series, went to Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Bloodborne, and then Dark Souls 3. And you know what? I'm kind of glad that the series has come to some sort of an end. I know there is something in the pipeline coming out from Software, but I'm interested to see something new. I don't really want to see a Dark Souls 3. I think Dark Souls 3, Kent will probably agree with me, it was burning itself out a little bit by trying to, hand fist too many bosses in front of your face. And it just, with Bloodborne was something special. Atmosphere, it reminded us of Castlevania, that kind of atmosphere. It was just unique, and it was a step away from what Dark Souls is. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next.
Yeah, definitely. Really quick, one more thing, Roger, before we move on to a little news topic is, so I want to, you mentioned like the variety of games you play, like on your streams and like producing content. Is that where you're seeing like the most success? Is you call it ADHD for content making, but for me as a consumer, that's when I find it most interesting. Like stuff on a channel might feel stale if you're doing 30-40 part series on one game or doing PUBG the entire time. So is that where you're finding success in the variety of what you're doing?
To be honest with you, like I said, I think it's sometimes to the detriment. The other guys will disagree with me.
They're gonna have another falling out. Like
I know, we do. Like every few couple of months, we have like in a good natured way. But you look at most successful YouTube channels, they generally start out focusing on one thing and then can diversify once they've kind of got their, their I was going to say customer base there, but it's not their customer, their subscribers. So at the moment, we've kind of started at the top end where we're just assuming everyone wants to see everything. But no, I think the enjoyment comes from like when you're enjoying the game you're playing. I mean, I don't think I could play one game to death and create content for it over and over again. And like there's three of us, three different personalities like yourselves. Everyone has a different sort of take on things and a different way of enjoying
We're
stuff.
all doing it for fun, and we're not doing it to, make money. Sean says at the end of every show, we're not doing this to make money. We're doing it because it's our hobby. We like getting together and talking about video games. We like playing video games. So to bring it down that one road where you're playing a game all the time, you're creating a job for yourself and something that will probably end up turning you off what you're doing. The one thing I want to say about you guys, and I think never leave this aspect of what you're doing, you have a great sense of comedy to all your videos. You're very kind of a likable bunch. Even I was watching Minion's stream on Final Fantasy VII, and it's a nice kind of watch. He has a bit of fun, and I think the suits are another great idea where no matter if you're at a Comic-Con that's full of say 19,000 people, you'll be spotted straight away. If you walk into a room, you're going to be over there in the corner. There's the guys from All Cast Irish. Like it's a brilliant kind of trademark to have. And just one thing, never step away from that comic aspect, because I think a lot of people on YouTube are a little bit too serious. Probably myself as well could probably do with a bit more comedy. But
whenever we start talking about Alien Covenant, Ronin is like, "Fuck that! I'm gonna hate this entire episode."
But no, I love it.
Great film, by the way. Great film, by the way.
Oh, don't tell Ronin. Don't tell Ronin that. Ronin
Visually,
takes
it's
his
okay.
computer,
but
throws it out the window.
What does it do to the whole? Oh, we won't even go down that
Yeah,
rabbit hole.
I'm just poking the bear here. I'm just poking.
Yeah, I know. Alien 3 is pretty good though.
Yeah, okay.
But
The
yeah,
Fincher
I
one.
love what you do, and I think stick to the kind of different aspects. And like some people will jump onto your page and they're going to like Final Fantasy VII. Some people will hate Final Fantasy VII, but the people that don't like it have something else to watch. I think YouTubers now, okay, when you get to a subscriber base where you have to keep that subscriber base, well, then you're kind of caught up with sponsorship and how there's people telling you what to do. But at this stage in the game, look, it's all about the journey, I feel, and it's all about just having fun at the end of the day. We've been running this show for what, 2.5 years now, and it doesn't feel like a job at all. We get on every 2 weeks for the last 2.5 years and we talk video games. I throw a few videos up online. We make people happy, and I think that's what it boils down to at the end. At the end of the day.
You make a good point, because good friends with another Irish YouTuber called Nubkex. He does Heroes of the Storm content, pretty much solo. And he started, actually, it's kind of because we both started around the same time, and we had 700-800 subs. He had maybe 200-300, and then he focused on Heroes of the Storm. He now has, I think, about 25k subs. And really blew up. However, he's kind of fed up with that game now, and you can see on his stream he likes to play, like I played a couple of strategy games with him. He's kind of moved into World of Warcraft, but none of that content gets near the amount of views as his Heroes of the Storm stuff. So he's kind of trapped in that, just producing that content.
Well, and there's something to be said for attracting the right people for the content you want to do, which is kind of, that's like the strength in what you guys are doing. And I think kind of what we do too is we all kind of gravitate towards, if we do stuff, I'm probably the most inconsistent content producer when it comes to video, but when I do stuff, it's pretty decent because I actually give a shit. It's something I want to do. And the content I think does better, and you attract a group of people that you guys won't get trapped into that, right? You'll get in a situation where if you guys want to go do some random stuff, people are watching because they like you guys, they enjoy the content you put out, not necessarily because of the game you're playing.
Definitely.
Right. And it's the same thing, like with Nisha. Do you find it within your specific audience that they really are hooking on to like your content because you have such a passion for retro games?
Yeah, I think it doesn't necessarily depend on the game. It's kind of what you're kind of putting out there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it shows if you're, now obviously I don't post on YouTube or anything like that. It's mainly pictures, and I write about it in my blog. But I think how much you like the game comes through, and if you're sick of it, people can easily see that, you know what I mean? Like what Roger was saying about his friend who has 25k now, and is playing the game and is getting a lot of feedback from it. That's great, but when he's sick of that game and he feels like he has to keep going back to it, it's not necessarily a good thing. So I don't know, maybe if you can tell when someone isn't happy with what they're playing and they're just putting something out there because they think it's what people want to see. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think you have to do it for the love of it.
Yeah. I think everyone on this show today actually understands that we're putting content out there because we're passionate about it. And I think Ronin hit it, that as soon as something feels like a job, we're not doing the right content for us. Like, we want to bring like that passion to it every single time. It's one of the main reasons that when I'm like playing games just for fun, I'm never playing the same thing over and over and over again, because I do burn out. Like, I think burning out with content, burning out with like players is just a natural order of things. I think once we can switch it up and play different things, Roger, you called it like gaming ADHD, which I think is perfect, like a perfect moniker for our experience. So that's the key with this one. So I'm actually totally going to steal that from you, Roger. Don't copyright that.
No worries.
I like it.
No worries.
All right, man. Getting at this topic, Roger, again, thanks for coming on the show. We're going to move to a bit of news. This week was Goldeneye, its 20th anniversary, which makes us all super old that we can remember playing.
Feel that way, yeah.
God. And I can remember bringing home Goldeneye from the store, popping to the N64 and starting. I can remember playing multiplayer with my brothers and friends. For some reason, I didn't think it was called Facility, the level in multiplayer. For some reason, I kept calling it Faculty, and that is not even close. And
I still call it Faculty.
Do you still call it Faculty?
Yeah.
Oh man, so I'm not the only one. So there's something about like that 200 by 100 resolution where the eyes didn't pop up appropriately on our tube TVs. We're like, oh, it's faculty. But I remember playing that over and over in multiplayer and playing that single player mission and dropping down the guy and karate chopping him and just walking out of the stall like, no, dude just didn't fall down the vent and walk out. It's totally natural. Like, that doesn't happen every day. But I want to throw it on to you guys. Like, what's our really good memories of GoldenEye, whether it be with family or friends or playing by ourselves? With Roger, you're the victim again, so good guess, man.
I actually do have a story.
Cool.
My best memories were going over to, like, I didn't have an N64 until I was like in my early 20s and I could actually afford to buy it.
Right.
But I going over to a friend's house, 3 brothers. I have another brother, so there was 5 or 6 of us always when it came to playing this game. But the split screen mode, and one of my biggest memories of this is because we try to play 2v2,
right?
But of course, with your 4 screens, it's like it's very easy to screen cheat. So what we used to do is put like a stack of VHS tapes in the middle, and we'd sit to the left of the TV and to the right of the TV, so you couldn't see each other. And that's just one of my biggest memories when playing multiplayer. So you couldn't screen cheat against each other. I was like, that's like, I don't know, was that local online co-op or something? I don't know. Were we pioneers at this? I don't know.
Yeah, you're pioneering it. You're okay, now it's like if you're landing, it's like, well, okay, one screen in every single room or face opposite walls or something, man. Yeah, that's awesome. And now, see, again, we're like talking about like retro games, like in their styles coming forward. There's that game that came out last year, an indie game called Screen Cheat.
Yeah,
where it's where it's like you can play local multiplayer as well as online multiplayer, and like it physically would not let you see other parts of the screen unless you were like near a character. And I think that is cool. It's like everything is old, it becomes new again. So awesome. Ronin, what's your memory of GoldenEye?
I just love the first level in that game. I think it was so revolutionary, just jumping off that dam. I think the shooting mechanics were very, very solid for back then, especially the fact that you could, have a multiplayer proper, either one-on-one. I think it was 4. Was that the max amount of players?
Yeah.
Yeah, four people in the same map. It was just ridiculous back then. And just to go back to what Roger said about the VHSs, we actually did something different. We used to cut a cornflakes box up and literally sellotape it down the middle of the screen. So one flap would be here and one, like the other guy would be here. And it was, that's the way we did it. But there was, I remember there was just tape like halfway across my side, halfway across my brother's side. And it was just an amazing memory. There was another one where if you were top and bottom screen, you'd have the flap and it'd actually be sitting on your head, and then my brother would be behind me, over me, or something like this. It's just great memories like that. You used to know, if we don't do this, you're going to cheat, and that's the way it is. But it's just a great memory to have. I mean, GoldenEye, I don't think I ever cleared that game. There's emulators out now that make the game look really gorgeous. I checked one of those out recently, and it looks crystal clear. But I loved the aspect of the mystery of the golden gun. I don't think I knew that thing existed for the first probably year that game was released. People kept telling me about this golden pistol. I was like, this thing does not exist, and lo and behold, it did, and you got shot once and it kills you. But yeah, it's a game that's, I think everybody knows that game, that has anything to do with gaming. And yeah, it's just one that will probably go down in history as one of the best revolutionary games of all time.
Just all time stuff. Yeah, Nisha, which GoldenEye memories? Let's have one.
So I've loads of playing multiplayer with my friends, but one memory is actually, it's not even me playing it. It's me sitting there with my older brother Aiden, and you know the way there's different difficulty levels. Yeah. So it goes to 00 and then, or 00 Asian and 007. Yeah. And I can remember just sitting there watching them and being like, how the fuck are you playing so good? Like, how can I not be this good? Like, I think it was fucking dead. Flying around, and the last level when you have to go, and I think it's Trevelyan, isn't it? Yeah. Fly down the bunker, and I was like, I can't fucking do it. And just watching him freaking out, but also being in absolute awe at how good he was as well.
Yeah.
And that's just one of the things that always sticks out with me in that game is. And he's still probably better than today.
He's still like every once in a while Christmas dinner. He's like, remember that one time I was really good at GoldenEye and you sucked at it? He's like right there, buddy, just right there. That's all you need. That's cool, man. Like, I'm really glad. Like, there's like this diverse, like, bunch of diverse stories we got. Kent, what do you got? Goldeneye stories.
So, I actually didn't have a N64, and I've mentioned it before on the Alpha Zone. But me and all my friends were always kind of the feeling growing up. There was a group of us, and so everyone would try to get a different console so we could go to each other's houses and play all the different stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And so my dad was really into laser discs when they came out. Fucking deep cut on a deep cut. And
like, don't worry, guys. We're going to watch an hour and a half movie. Let's flip this halfway through because there are only 45 minutes of space on each.
And or like Terminator 2, which was 2 discs, 4 sides.
Yeah.
But the sound on them was amazing, and at the time the visual fidelity was killer. And so he had he went out and bought a bar TV, like a projector TV.
Yeah.
So he could he had like a theater room. So we had like a 76-inch TV back when the most you could get on was like 480. Yeah. And so my buddy that had a N64 basically like stored it in my dad's TV room, hooked up to the TV because we would come. But we completely embraced the screen cheating because on a TV that big, you can't do anything about it, you know? So we would it was just like a ruckus, man. We were like, bunch of kids up till really odd hours of the night because my parents are both night people, so they didn't think to stop us. We'd be like on the weekends just playing tons of 007. And then those guys later, I didn't have an Xbox, but 2 of them picked up original Xboxes, and we did the same thing with Halo. And actually we're doing LAN parties between that room and my parents' bedroom. But yeah, really good times. That's the first I remember playing a shooter like that and not online, because at the time I was mostly a PC gamer.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I have like a bunch of memories that are really, oh crap, thunder. Yeah, boys, like I'm in the middle of a lightning storm, so if any like shit goes weird, my house got hit by lightning. Just a heads up, like I'm
keeping it dark all of a sudden there, Sean.
Yeah, it's like it's like the cloud rolled in, lightning strike. So anyway, so Goldeneye story. So my experience with Goldeneye really was the first time that you put rules on couch co-op games where it's like you have 3 buddies come over and like, all right, we're only doing pistols or we're only doing karate chops, and then there's always one asshole that's like, no, dude, I'm gonna pull something else. And so it's like it's always that fucking guy that it's like, all right, we're only karate chops, and he runs around the map just golden guns everybody. I'm like, what, asshole? We said karate chops, man. And so it's like doing that, and that's one of the first games that I can remember like using an RPG in a game that actually shoots out, and there's like that really bad like explosion effect, and it sounds like Ripley and just gross, and it's not. Oh man, that sound effect is so off. But again, it's one of these games that existed in a vacuum for me, that if that game came out at any other time, I don't know I'd be as into it. But for that period, I'm okay walking around with with a C-pad and then aiming with the weird stick in the middle, and you're kind of holding it like all sideways. Or like, no, this is a totally real way to hold a controller. And then you get home to like any other controller and it makes sense, and then you go back to this one, you're holding it like all sideways, like, oh, don't worry, it's okay. But yeah, man, just that game was just something that was so special. So Rare gets all the credit for what they actually did with that game. And the other thing I point out was when I saw earlier we're going to talk Goldeneye in the show, was I always forget it didn't release alongside of the movie with Pierce Brosnan. It was like a year and a half after the fact when the next Pierce Brosnan Bond was being advertised. So Tomorrow Never Dies was coming out. They actually put Goldeneye out 6 months before that. So it's like this weird staying power where it's, okay, cool. So Star Wars, The Last Jedi is coming out, but we're actually going to release the Force Awakens game like 6 months before. Like, no one's going to care. Like, the timing is just weird. The timing just adds up. So again, the game like exists in this like weird vacuum that's just brilliant, and I can't get enough of it. So that's one of the best like experiences playing with friends or brothers that I have. And building off of that, this idea that couch co-op is really coming back to modern consoles, for the likes of Ken. What was the couch co-op game on PS4 last year?
Helldivers.
It was like, what was it? Helldivers.
Helldivers was you could do couch co-op on that, yeah. And then
was it down the one with bows and arrows. Yeah. So there's specific like companies now that are actually Towerfall Ascension, like that's the one I'm thinking of. So they are like, we brought up indies like in the beginning of the show, and Roger, you brought it up that indie companies really are seeing this couch co-op revolution happening again. Has anybody played
Hog 2 has just come out?
Yeah, Nidhogg 2.
Another sort of couch co-op type game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Roger, have you seen did you see the art style for Nidhogg 2?
It's really different now, isn't it? Now
It's weird, man. It's like it went. Yeah, it's like some people are so turned off by it, but
I know, yeah.
I think it's cool, man. I think it's the dev like thinking like we're playing blocky characters for the first one and kind of turning it on their head. So
And now they have like Garbage Pail Kid Muppets, is what that looks like.
Yeah, like the weirdest looking stuff. But
They have money now.
Yeah, they have money. They're like, oh, we sold a bunch of copies of Nidhogg. We can go Nidhogg 2 and like just break out like couch co-op like this new way. But I really do want to like actually have another like roundtable discussion really quick before we get out of here about modern day couch co-op games and our favorites of the past few years. Ro, you haven't spoken in about 3 minutes, and I'm used to hearing your sultry voice. So hit me with it.
So the one that I was interested in even before it was released, because I think it was Colin Moriarty kept going on about it, was Helldivers. And I remember just hearing that it was, it was difficult. It was something very different. And when it came out, I got it for, I think it was 20 quid. And one of my mates was just lucky that he was over. He came over for a coffee. And I said, let's just throw this on and see what it's like. Was it even free? Actually, I think it was released for free when it first released.
I think it was on PSN. I think it was one of the PSN.
Yeah, it was free like a year later on PSN.
It was free a year later. That's when we started playing it again. But I bought it initially at release, and I remember playing that game, and it gave me so many memories of just brilliant sci-fi moments that I remember in movies. Whether it's Aliens, whether it's Starship Troopers. There was moments where you're letting off the bomb right at the end of the level and you have to escape. There was the difficulty, there was the friendly fire, there was the objectives that you had to complete. And then on top of that, you could upgrade your soldier. So you could end up getting a mech suit by the end of it. I just thought it was absolutely brilliant. That couch co-op has always interested me. I grew up, my brother is just a year younger than me, and we still play games today. I'll bet it's online because he's living in England at the moment, but we used to just play constantly Sega Genesis, and to be able to still have that buzz in this day and age, and the fact that kind of experience still exists, I'm happy. And it only seems to have really come back in the last couple of years, that couch co-op. Like there was a time where it was 2-player games were just non-existent. It was all online, and you got the odd one, but there was no one really putting heart and soul into these games. And I think particularly last year you had Alienation, another phenomenal couch co-op game that can be played online as well. You had Helldivers, which was cross-platform as well as being couch co-op, which I thought was pretty cool. And that game that you mentioned earlier on that we got a bit of fun out of, where you use the one arrow. What was that game? Towerfall.
Yeah, Towerfall. Yeah.
I mean, all them games came out and they're very cheap to buy, and they're great for if friends come over, you can just throw them on and have some fun. So I'm glad to see them coming back. But for me, the best couch co-op game is Helldivers in the last couple of years.
Yeah, cool. Roger, what do you think? Modern day couch co-op games. Any favorites? Any standouts?
I suppose one standout I would say, because it's kind of, my girlfriend's not that big into gaming. She doesn't like first person. She does like when it comes to controls and stuff. But isometric shooters like Helldivers. We played Dead Nation almost to death. 2-player. Great game. Got the mechanics down pretty good.
That's Housemarque, yeah.
Housemarque, yeah.
You got me on that. But it's just one game that we played to bits together, cool. And I suppose that was kind of a cool thing to do because we don't often play games. And I think we jumped into Alienation. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't mad on Alienation for some reason. It just didn't click with me. Maybe I kind of got bored of that type of game, and I think I had played Helldivers to death as well, so it just felt like more of the same.
They have a new game out now. I can't remember the name, but it was released there in the last 2 weeks.
There's Next Machina came out, and then Matterfall was the one.
Matterfall is actually the one that I'm thinking of. Have anyone played that?
I played Matterfall a little bit. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's like really fast paced, but the difference is you're actually seeing a character on screen the entire time, like from the side. So depth of field is both 2D as well as 3D. I actually did that backwards, so 2D, 3D. But it's like that super fast pace that Housemarque is really famous for, and it's just got it's just got a different feel. Like I was used to Resogun, and then
Resogun is unbelievable.
And then Next Machina.
It kind of turned me off because some of the reviews that came out were saying that it didn't really feel like a traditional Housemarque game, and I was really kind of jonesing for that, so I kind of ducked it out a little bit.
Yeah, I can 100% like it'll be free on PlayStation sometime in the next like couple years. That I'm not saying go out and spend $25 euro quid on it, but when it becomes free, I'd suggest to pick it up. It's pretty good. Nisha, couch co-op games. What's hitting you in the last bit?
I haven't played any more modern day couch co-ops. The most recent one I did play was Chip and Dale's Rescue Ranger.
Okay.
So I haven't really been playing much modern day, but I recently got a copy of Chip and Dale. My girlfriend bought it for me, and me and one of my friends Steve were playing it.
Wait, hold on. Your girlfriend supports this habit of yours?
She's the creator of this. She bought me the first. Yeah, she bought me a Super Nintendo.
Ring it. Ring on it. She created me.
But I'd been talking about I was looking at getting DuckTales and Chippendales because they're two games that I played obviously as a kid. Yeah. And then all of a sudden she just texted me one day and she had got a complete unboxed version, and I was like, where the fuck did you get this from?
Yeah. I don't know. I found it in the back of a closet. I don't know. It's weird.
But I've been playing that. Like I'm playing it obviously when none of the lads are around. I have a go on my own, but it's great fun playing it kind of co-op with friends as well. Yeah.
And Kent, rounding out the topic.
Man, my favorite most recent ones are I really enjoy Toto Temple Deluxe, which I don't think many people have played, but it's a really kind of.
Is that a Toto game, like based on the band? Like what is?
No, the name is completely nonsensical. Think of it. It's kind of like a Towerfall.
Cool.
But you instead of arrows, it's like goats. It's really zany. It's really fun to play with people. It's super cheap game. It's really hard to describe, but if you kind of like the gameplay loop of Towerfall,
okay,
mixed with a little bit of Capture the Flag. Check out Toto Temple Deluxe. I think it's like $3. It's worth it.
Cool.
It's got kind of a neat hand-drawn art style. And Broforce.
Yeah.
Awesome. For people that don't really follow our other show or are not familiar with it, probably don't know, but I'm being in the States here, you can own firearms. I'm a big firearms collector. I used to work in that industry. Hopefully I still work in that industry.
Yeah.
But beyond that, like that game is just lampoons the whole action movie culture.
Yeah.
And I think most people think if you're a gun guy, you're really into action movies. And I do like them, but some of them are just terrible. And that game just lampoons it in all the right ways. It's just so hilarious to me. And being able to have people play it with you, because it's not a difficult game. And it's so wacky, the different characters and stuff, that that's really just a fun one to sit down with people on the couch and play with.
The pixelated graphics are amazing as well, with the blood going everywhere.
Oh, man, that's a good one. Yeah, for me, like the only thing I've really played like couch co-op recently is I have my godson come over. We started playing games when he was like 5 or 6, and so anytime the Traveler's Tales like Lego games come out, those are a perfect blend for him when it comes to just couch co-op games, where they used to be really bad, where like the screen would tear and you would have no idea where each other are, and like just clipping issues all over the place. But Traveler's Tales, like they've really nailed it. And so whenever a new Marvel game comes out, Star Wars comes out, they've now fixed the problem where the screen actually cuts in diagonal and you can see where each other's character is across the level, help each other out. I think those are like great examples for couch co-op games.
You talk about that. They're one of like how am I trying to say? Like in terms of money and games sold, those guys are probably some of the biggest users of games on the planet, and it's just completely under the radar. You know, you talk about Battlefield and the Call of Duty. Those guys making those Lego games, they are constantly churning out. And obviously franchise, you look at every movie franchise, they have a game.
They crush it. Absolutely.
And I think nobody like gives them the recognition that they deserve, because they just dominate.
Yeah, right. I'm with you, Roger. It's like every year you can count on Traveler's Tales to release 2 games at least, and they're full $60 releases.
Yeah.
And this year is like the same way. It's like they'll have Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 coming out in November. Yeah. And then they've already like not 100% confirmed it, but Star Wars The Last Jedi game will be coming out in May or June to coincide with like the disc release of the movie. And it's like, no matter what, like clockwork, if there's a franchise that they're partnered with, you will get a game. It'll be quality. And like, that's the difference, is they're good. And they could pump out crap and people would still buy it, but because they're putting in that effort, and you hear interviews with that dev team of how much they truly like love Lego.
Yeah,
that's what I like to hear when it comes to like devs, man. That's great. So anyways, we'll get out of here with one final question to the boys. We're talking about retro games and remasters and how they're actually showing up in today's market again. Roger, I'll give you some time to think. I saw the head crane back. It's like, I get it.
No, I'll be honest with you. You can leave me, but I'm going to have a controversial answer, I think.
Okay. All right, we'll leave you a controversial answer. But anyway, what's one game from our past that we want to remaster for today's market? Kent, let's go to you first.
All right. I'm not going to go super deep into my past. There's a game
Uncharted 1.
Yeah, there's a game that a little older than that. A game that I've always loved that I wish they would remaster, but they probably won't because the studio's out of business and no one owns the licensing. But Ep.2, if someone would make a remaster of Ep.2 on the original Xbox, I actually owned a copy of that game without owning an original Xbox, and I would throw it in my backpack when I was going to college and drag it to my buddy's house and play it there on my breaks between classes.
I just thought you meant like you just hung out and amped 2 like case out of your backpack at university. It's like, don't worry guys, I bored. You can see from the game in my bag. Like, we're really cool. Like I did it once, like just like putting like random Darth Vaders on my backpack. I'm like, I don't actually own Star Wars, but I got a bunch of Star Wars stuff in my bag. So what's up, friends? Let's be cool. So yeah, Nisha, what's one game from your past that you want a modern remaster?
It's not too old, but Pokemon Snap for the N64.
Oh, yeah,
with the rest of the 151 Pokemon from the originals, the original series or whatever. I was only playing it like a couple of months ago, and it's such a great game. And I'd love to see it now, and like PS4 graphics or whatever, proper modern day graphics. I think it'd be really cool.
Yeah, I think like I remember when Pokemon Snap came out, and that was back when I was headfirst into Pokemon and just like had red, blue, green, yellow, like every single cart that came out I bought. And when Snap came out, and then Stadium was seeing Pokemon in 3D in a 3D engine rather than a 2D plane on the Game Boy, like blew my mind apart. And even if we're just like taking pictures, and I think I was really too young to appreciate that game for what it did for Pokemon in general, as well as just mechanics and how by taking certain pictures, other Pokemon would come out like secretly. And I think all of this was just a really cool hook.
Such a great game. Like again, I had only played it like in friends' houses as a kid, but when I got it there recently, it completely blew me away how much it actually enthralled me in and got me hooked on Pokemon again. And so I'd absolutely love to see, like, because I've seen like Ocarina of Time and an Unreal Engine or something like that. And it just looks mental. Like, it looks so cool. So I just think Pokemon Snap would be a really great one to be remade.
I think
that would be a really good fit for the Switch too, to do it almost kind of like augmented reality kind of game. Like I think you're onto something there. That's a solid one.
Definitely,
cool.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, Roger, what were we saying?
I think Nisha should just play No Man's Sky. Just wander around taking pictures of random mutants.
I've heard of that game. I've heard it's not the best.
Well, they fixed it now.
It's kind of fixed it a year later.
Totally different game now. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, they promised like the greatest game ever, or the biggest game ever, and then it wasn't.
We've mentioned it on the show before, but there's that like a YouTube video going around with like the Jurassic Park theme song, and then the real it's just all wonky. It's just like,
it's all this beautiful, and then it cuts to like this mute.
It's so good, man. Roger, real quick, a game from your past that you want a modern remaster?
This is controversial. The idea of remasters to me kind of annoys me in some respects, because like there's dev teams and money being spent on old games that they know will sell. This probably is not a new opinion, but I mean, I'd rather those guys spent money and time creating new IPs. And like the likes of Crash Bandicoot and stuff like that. Like that's great. People like want to come out and play those games. I won't play that game. I remember playing that game. The mechanics and stuff like that, we've improved, we've advanced, that kind of stuff. I don't know, this is controversial, I realize, but I would much rather have a dev team who like makes that Crash Bandicoot game. I want them to go make their own game. have a dream, make some invest their time and money in that.
Yeah, I'm not even that far off of that opinion actually, because like you'll notice whenever we sort of we've done in the past similar questions to this, or we talk about remasters and stuff, and I kind of agree with you. I think going for the low hanging fruit is the slimy way to do it. I want to see them pull up an old IP, a new IP that somebody tried and maybe it didn't do so great the first time because of execution issues or something, and take another swing at that game. You know, try and get that good creative property and rerun it through, you know.
A perfect example, I think, was the Wolfenstein games. I don't know. Like, okay, those original games were good too, but they didn't try to remaster those games. They took that IP and they completely went, you know, they rebooted it essentially, which I don't mind. Like Tomb Raider did something similar. That's fine. But if you take the exact same game and just put a new polish on it, I don't know. Part of me doesn't really like that, to be honest. But anyway.
Yeah, I know. I think you're right on the money with that one, and we've discussed it before. Where Kent and I's mentality is towards like that. Like I remember playing when the new Crash Bandicoot came out. I played it, and I was like, they didn't change any mechanics, and it should have existed in a time capsule for me. And I was a little bit disappointed. I was like, oh no, I remember being this pissed off as a kid. But the difference is, I had one game to play every Christmas, and this was it. And now it's like, oh, never mind. I make money. I can throw this in the trash can, and it's fine. Like, no. So we're done. Like, get out of there. So yeah, no, 100% with you. Ro, what's one game from a remaster or from the past that you want remastered?
First, I just want to counter that point because everybody is on the same side except me. I think there's two sides of that coin. I think with the first year of the PS4, we had a lot of games that were brought from PS3 to PS4. Ones that I can think of were The Last of Us and Grand Theft Auto 5. And they're just two examples. But I think it was different in the first year of the PS4 because a lot of people buying a PS4, there was a possibility that was their first Sony system coming from Xbox to PS4, because the PS4 was the new system. It was, you know, it was marketed very well. It was cheaper. And I think in the first year of the PS4, remasters were a necessity to kind of show off this system, what we've done in the past. Here's The Last of Us, one of the best games of all time. Here's Grand Theft Auto, one of the top selling games of all time. So I think in that sense it's okay. Coming from a PS3 to a PS4 and seeing these games twice, that was a little bit souring, but I do understand why these games were brought. The other side of the coin for me is I don't mind when a game is fully remastered from head to toe. When a dev team puts basically their heart and soul into it, just like Crash Bandicoot, they put a total new facelift. They did slightly change the gameplay in Crash Bandicoot, not a huge amount to kill the old aspect, but I think it takes a lot of skill to create a remastered game from our past and make it just as good as it used to be. I was a huge Crash fan. I bought the new game, the remastered. I ended up clearing 1, 2, and 3. I can tell you what I think of 1, 2.
He's a greater man than I.
I can tell you what I think of 1, 2, and 3. 1 is a very difficult game. It really is tough. The mechanics fight against you. Some of the levels are designed to make you want to throw the PlayStation out the window. But moving on to Crash Bandicoot 2, it's a really, really solid game. And remember, this is originally a Naughty Dog game, and this was the start of their journey. The game is good. I just think the first game really does pitch you against that. But I think a lot of retro games pitch you against that. I can't remember clearing any game when I was younger. And as we got older, games are becoming a little bit more easy and mainstream, maybe because of the popularity. But I like seeing remasters, especially games that mean something to me. Like they don't cost $60. Was Crash Bandicoot 40 quid?
Is it 40? Yeah.
They're not $60 games. I think I'd be more sour towards it if they were $60 or 60 quid. But for me, I think there's two sides of the plate. Like one side is a new polish doesn't work, but a fully refurbished game does for me. And that's just kind of my 2 cents about it. I totally understand that if you want the developers to go and do an original IP, I don't think we actually have enough original IPs in this generation. The one that comes to mind for some reason is Horizon, and that's one of the games of the generation. So we need to see more of these. But my game Actually, I thought Kent was going to say that he wanted Skate remastered. I thought he was going to get a Skate in there.
It's just too recent. Yeah, that one's hard.
I've done that so many times now, and frankly, there's only 3 answers. So there's Skate, there's Amp2, or there's Bomberman, because they wrecked the last Bomberman.
So the game that I want to see remastered, and it's the fact that I think the franchise is just after taking a nosedive into hell, to put it kindly, is Silent Hill 2. I think it's one of the best survival horror games that was ever developed. I think it had a really unbelievable story from start to finish. The Pyramid Head guy still gives me nightmares, and I would love to see that game done justice. Maybe the gameplay changed up a little bit. There was a game called Silent Hill Homecoming that had really good mechanics, but the story was a little bit weird, and it didn't really catch me. But ever since Silent Hill 4, I think that's where it just took the plummet. And I think Silent Hill is a really good franchise. And sadly, we didn't get Hideo Kojima's version, which I thought would have really saved the franchise. But a Silent Hill 2, I think that's the game I want to see remastered.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. And real quick to wrap up the topic, and we'll get out of here, is I talked about it earlier on the show, but Punch-Out! I know Punch-Out! Has come out on NES. There was Super Punch-Out! And Super NES. There was the Punch-Out! On... Was it 64, Nisha, or did they do it for Wii? There was another...
For Wii, yeah. I'm pretty sure there was one for the Wii.
Yeah, there's one for Wii that came out, but I don't think it was quite right. It was too much like motion controls and less really learning the rhythm and kind of turning into like more... It was more just like a rhythm game than anything else. It was memorization and just seeing the skills and timing, and I want to see something like that come to Switch, or I think that'd be great. Like, and also I'm just like a sucker for boxing games, like Fight Night, Punch-Out!, Golden Gloves was one back in the day. So any of those type of boxing games, I'm more than happy to play. So Punch-Out! Would be my choice. Modern remaster of Punch-Out! Would be cool. All right, boys, let's get out of here. It is way late on your side of the freaking ocean, and me and Kent I'm in a thunderstorm that I can lose power at any second. So I'm getting out of here fast. Ronin, plug away, sir, and then we'll get out.
So this is going to be a little bit easier than usual. Everything is Alpha Zone Gaming for us. The Retro Zone podcast, you can get that there as well. We're actually more than likely going to make a new YouTube channel for that if it kicks off. But at the moment, just everything is Alpha Zone Gaming. And you can get me if you want to come on as a guest or want to come on and chat. Sean can take an interview if you want to promote a show or an event. Just email me at roninfox@live.ie. And I'll get back to you straight away. And thanks again for listening. And thanks a million to Roger for coming on. It's been great fun, and someone different on the show as well.
Yeah, anytime. I'll definitely be back if you'll have me.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely, man. Roger, please plug away. Where can the fans find Allcast Irish Gamers?
At Allcast Irish Gamers, pretty much Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Reddit, on your microwave screen, wherever there's a screen, we can.
I'm gonna watch them in my fridge, dude. Yeah. Like typing in the fridge.
Yeah. Where you put the ice down, just above that. So yeah, thanks very much, guys, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks. Nisha, plug away, sir.
You can find me at retrogamerireland.com. You can read my blog, and then there's links to all social media sites there, all the good stuff.
Nisha does it the easiest way. He's like, just go to this one website, give me some traffic, and then go to all the other sites.
Yeah. Like every single one, though. Go to them all.
Yeah, just go to them all. Kent, plug away, sir, whatever you want to plug.
I am at Squirp everywhere, SQU1RP, Instagram, PlayStation Network, Xbox One, everywhere. Switch.
Except Wii.
No Wii. No more Wii.
I was at Squirp on the Wii, but I no longer own a Wii U. So if you want to hit me up, play some games, do some online stuff, feel free to add me. But for the love of God, tell me where you heard of me, because otherwise I think you're a bot. You're trying to steal my account information or solicit nudes or something, and I'm just going to mess with you. It's not going to be fun. You won't enjoy the experience.
Kent's looking at it, he's like, wait, who the hell is Love You Long Time 6969? Like, this is weird.
Also screenshots of some stuff I've done to those people.
Ronin loved to spooge. That's so funny, dude.
Yeah. That's me. I'm Love You Long Time. I'm just
okay.
I apologize for being a dick.
Anyway, anyone who wants to get in contact with Alpha Zone Gaming, again, contact Ronin at RoninFox at, was it live.ie, Ronin?
That's it.
We can set up interviews. We can bring on guests. anything like that, that's the easiest way to find me. Also, Ronin is kind enough to delineate the information back to me. We can set up interviews, podcasts, anything we need to do to get the audience involved. I close out every show as we alluded to earlier. We jump online and we talk about games every week, every 2 weeks with Alpha Zone Gaming, because we have the love for gaming. We have love for the culture. There's nothing more evident than our passion for this than when we get together in an online room and discuss it for over an hour. So again, thanks for tuning in to Retro Game. God, what's the name of the show? The Retro Gaming. I'm unplugging Nisha again. Just go to Nisha's side.
He's in your head, man. He's in your head.
Oh, he's got me, dude. So again, you've been watching the Retro Zone Gaming podcast. I'm your host, Sean Malloy, and we are out.